Kakadosh Boker Or Bekiim Bahalacha. This is going to be a separate course, just for the few days. This is Shiur Lilu Nishma Mesod Hashem Ben Lydia Chaya Rachel and Michal Phoebe Bat Simcha Shenishvata B'Tzorah Zuchaim. Amen. So we're going to start Kaddish Yatom, the Mourners Kaddish, day 1. Again, this is just going to be for a few days. And it says over here like follows: from Geinam to Gan Eden, right? From hell to Gan Eden. It says over here like this: our sages taught that by reciting the Kaddish, a person can relieve his parents from suffering in Geinam. The Or Zarua cites a midrash relating that Rabbi Akiva once saw a man running as fast as a racehorse. He was as black as coal and naked, carrying a heavy load of thorny twigs on his head. Rabbi Akiva ordered him to stop and asked him why he was doing such a terrible, a terribly difficult work. Rabbi Akiva said, perhaps you are enslaved by a cruel master. If so, I will buy your freedom. And if you need to work like this, probably, I'll support you even personally. Yeah, there's a very famous midrash. Okay, so it's a very famous midrash. So he comes and he says,
you want me to read it?
No, it's okay. The man shook his head and replying, please let me go on my way. Right? Why? Because if not, they're going to get angry at me. He says, okay, but what kind of work is this? So he says, you see, I'm not among the living. Every day he sent out to cut firewood, then they come, they incinerate him in the fire. My son, what was your occupation during your lifetime? He says he was a tax collector. So he used to gain favor with the rich people, and he used to tax the poor to death. Right? Besides that, he sinned in many ways during his lifetime. So he says, okay, fine, but your overseers, did they ever reveal you a way to be redeemed? So they said, please let me go on my way, because they're gonna get angry. So he says, there's no way I can be redeemed. The only possibility is a child of mine is to lead the congregation in prayer and say Baruch et Hashem V'urach, so they will respond Baruch Hashem V'urach, or the child will say Kaddish, and they're gonna answer me Nishmin Abba V'urach. If this would happen, I would be released immediately from misery. But he died without any children, except for that his wife was expecting a child at the time. So even if the child is a boy, there's no one that would bother to even teach him Torah or bring him to the synagogue. Kiva decided at that moment that he would not rest until he found the person's child and taught him Torah. So he asked him, what's your name? He says, his name is Akiva. Your wife's name, Shushniba. Yeah, and your city, Ludkia. Right? By the way, there's differences in the Midrashim. This is like the things are Rabbi Binatan, this, but okay, fine. So Akiva was distraught with the man's plight. Immediately he set out for Ludkia. When he asked the residents about the late Akiva, they cursed the man. They cursed him out. He said when he asked about the man's wife, they cursed her as well, right? That she should be that she should be wiped off the face of the earth. When he asked about the child, they said, "What, him? He's not even doesn't even have a brit milah." The child. So Rabbi Akiva found the child, persuaded him to do brit milah, began teaching him Torah, but he was just learning disabled. He couldn't absorb a word. Rabbi Akiva fasted for 40 days until he received permission from heaven to teach the boy Torah. He taught the boy to recite the Shema, the Amidah, Birkat HaMazon. When he was ready, Rabbi Akiva brought him to the synagogue, and the boy said Kaddish. Congregation responded, the boy said Baruchu. They answered Baruch Hashem V'urach Olam V'ed. After this, Rabbi Akiva continued to teach the boy Mishnah, Talmud, Halachot, Agadah. Eventually, the boy became a sage called Rabbi Nachum Hapekoli. Yeah, that he says based upon the pasuk, Paku Peliliyah, which means he extracts the guilty, because he basically extracted his father, which was guilty, from Geinam. As soon as the father was released from punishment, he appeared again to Rabbi Akiva in a dream, and he said, may your soul be granted a high place in Gan Eden, since you comforted me and redeemed me from the punishments of Geinam. As soon as my son recited the Kaddish in the synagogue, they annulled the terrible decree of suffering to which I had been freed from, which I had been subjected. When my son became a regular student of Midrash, they freed me from all the punishments. And when he was ordained to become a rabbi, I was elevated to join the Tzaddikim Gan Eden, and I was crowned. You are credited with bringing all this to me. Rabbi Akiva responded, Adonai Shimcha L'Olam, Adonai Zichcha L'Dor V'Dor. God, your name is eternal. God, you will be spoken for all generations. Okay, so now Rabbi Eliezer from Worms found the passage in Talmud V'Eliyahu teaching that even a small child who recites Kaddish can save his late father from being punished. And see also the Zohar Chadash. That means even if it's going to be a small child, it will also be the exact same thing. Next, Kibud Avayim. So he says over here like this. Yeah, he says the responsa. Yad Eliyahu. He states that by reciting Kaddish for one's departed parent, one fulfills the mitzvah of Kibud Avayim, of respecting their parents. In fact, he actually accomplishes more by reciting Kaddish than what he does Kibud Avim during the parent's lifetime. Meaning a person has a bigger mitzvah after death than even during death. Okay, this is because the living parent is allowed to refuse to be honored during their lifetime, right? He says to be careful. While the departed parent cannot and would not forego such advantages of having the Kaddish recited for the soul. Even if the parent never mentioned it, we view the situation if the parent demands that they say the Kaddish. There's no situation sorrier than a son who ignores the obligation to recite the Kaddish for his parent. Thus, the mitzvah of reciting Kaddish has the status of a Torah mitzvah. And when there's any doubt, the son is still obligated to recite it. Rav Yosef Engel concur with this, stating that reciting the Kaddish is the highest act of Kibud Avayim, since nothing that a child can do for his parent can equal the value of bringing the parent to Gan Eden. But above all is Torah study. All of it's emphasized that our sage institute the concept of the child saying Kaddish Amerechu for the benefits of the parents, because it's going to enable even the unlearned people to come and to benefit. But if the child is capable of studying Torah, he benefits his parents many times more by coming and learning Torah than even more than reciting Kaddish or prayers. And if the son manages, he will receive a measurable honor in the yeshiva of heaven, right? And that's what he says, that he should even try to make a chidush of Torah and halacha. Therefore, the person in the morning over his parent should invest as much as possible in Torah study. The Yisod v'Shosh Avodah echoed this idea, and he decided in the Chazon Ovadia, Hilchot Avelut.